Tonight, when seconds matter most.
By the time they got here, the garage was fully engulfed.
Why the Firefighters Union is speaking out about a delayed response that left a St. Vital home in ruin. Also tonight.
The Minister of Health and this NDP government have the authority to do those things today, and they are choosing not to.
The opposition PCs take aim at the province's handling of health care, following another reported sexual assault near Health Sciences Centre. Plus, from 2 wheels to no wheels.
Register, report, buy yourself a good lock.
Is there a better way to put the brakes on bike thefts?
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Fire destroyed a St. Vital home last night, and now the Firefighters Union is sounding the alarm over the response time, saying it took some crews up to 20 minutes to arrive. CTV's Danton Unger is standing by in studio with the details. Danton, what do we know about what caused this delayed response?
Well, Marilee, the union says there were no trucks available at the nearby station, so crews had to be dispatched from other stations farther away. By the time they arrived, the home was already engulfed in flames.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Shouts from neighbors and onlookers as flames tore through the St. Vital home Sunday.
It's moved on to this house. Oh my gosh.
It happened just after 7:30 p.m. on Southwalk Bay.
It lit up the entire neighborhood.
Mike Carlson lives just across the street. He says he heard loud bangs and went outside to discover a growing fire in the garage. Multiple people called 911, but Carlson says it took about 10 to 15 minutes for the trucks to arrive.
By the time they got here, the garage was fully engulfed. The house was pretty well gone.
Nick Casper, president of the United Firefighters of Winnipeg, says crews are supposed to arrive within 4 minutes. But on Sunday, he says there was no fire engine available at the nearby station, just a 3-minute drive from the home. Instead, Casper said units had to be dispatched from other stations, the closest being just under 10 minutes away, while he says others took up to 20 minutes to arrive.
Anytime we see response times exceeding that 4-minute target, loss increases, loss to property and loss to life.
Casper says response times have been increasing in the city as the Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service struggles to keep pace with the growing population.
With the same number of trucks responding to that many more calls for service, we can't get to them all in time.
CTV News requested an interview with the WFPS, but was given a written statement instead, which reads in part, "At any given time, some of those units will be assigned to calls or unavailable for operational reasons. For time-dependent calls like medical emergencies or fires, the closest fire or paramedic unit is assigned. This makes them unavailable to respond to other emergencies." For Carlson, this response leaves him feeling worried as he looks at what's left of his neighbor's home.
Because if this thing went up, this thing's bigger than mine, bigger than that one. And it won't take very long to single little fire here. The whole place is gone. It only takes 10 or 15 minutes and there's nothing more you can do.
Carlson says the neighborhood has been coming together to raise support and donations for the family impacted by this fire. A GoFundMe was set up by a family member to help them recover.
Dan, was anyone injured in this fire?
No, neighbors say no one was in the house at the time of the fire, and the house next door was evacuated as a precaution. And the city does say one firefighter was injured, but didn't require any hospitalization. There's no word yet on the cause. The city says the fire is still under investigation.
All right, thanks for this, Stanton. A man has been arrested following another reported sexual assault near Health Sciences Centre. It comes a little over a month after 4 women were sexually assaulted in and around the hospital. Police tell CTV News officers responded to the north side of William Avenue across from the hospital's adult emergency department shortly after 11 p.m. Thursday. Police say a woman was found by hospital security and brought inside for care. A short time later, officers located and arrested a 39-year-old man in connection with the incident. He was released on an undertaking. Now, this incident comes just days after the Manitoba Nurses Union voted to graylist HSC, designating the facility as an unsafe working location. The provincial Progressive Conservatives say it's just one example of how the Manitoba NDP government is failing on its promise to improve health care. Leader Abi Khan is calling on the NDP to act now to improve working conditions for HSC staff.
They asked for safety in their workplace. They asked for swipe cards to access hospital tunnels. They asked to create an early alert system to warn staff, and they asked to make sure controlled entrances and staff are maintained. That can all be done today. The Minister of Health and this NDP government have the authority to do those things today, and they are choosing not to.
A spokesperson for Health Minister Yusoma Asagara tells CTV News, quote, "We're working to make HSC safer after years of neglect by hiring more security staff, installing AI weapon scanners, and adding 100 new cameras." There's been little change in the province's wildfire situation, although some precipitation this weekend gave crews a chance to shore up defenses. The city of Thompson says a number of teams, like the one seen here, were busy creating fire guards north and south of the city. In some cases, clearing as much as 4 or 5 kilometers a day. It's a similar situation in Snow Lake, with the town saying enough moisture came down to suppress the fire for a few days. Crews are using the opportunity to attack the fire closest to the community, which it says could pose a danger if winds shift directions. The town also says after 3 days, crews are almost finished clearing a road into an area to the northwest, so hydro crews can start repairing damaged infrastructure. The Manitoba Eco Network is looking at how extreme hot and cold weather affects people and ways to keep people safe.
It's better to take a look at what people are already doing and to bring that up north here before we need it in like an emergency. It's better to have that in place to protect people preventatively than as an emergency.
The survey of 142 West End homeowners and renters found more than 85% had experienced negative impacts as a result of extreme temperatures. Between 38 and 52% struggle to pay their energy bills. Based on the findings, the Eco Network made 7 recommendations, including limiting maximum indoor temperatures to 26 degrees Celsius as the number of hot summer days increases.
Right now, the city of Winnipeg sits at around 57 hot, like extreme temperature days throughout the summer during the year. But with those emissions levels like increasing, with the more carbon being released, those days are going to go up to either 81 to 101 days in the summer, depending on those levels.
Other recommendations include incentives to help increase energy efficiency, creating more green spaces connected to cooling hubs, and designating cooling in extreme heat a vital service for renters. Well, extreme heat, not necessarily the problem tonight, Colleen Brady, but you are tracking some potential thunder activity.
Yeah, non-severe thunderstorms scattered all across the province, including here in the south, and some are severe. Here's a look at southern Manitoba, all over the place. And for the most part, they are non-severe at this point, except for the southeast corner. So we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for many areas. It just sort of scoots around the city of Winnipeg, though. But it is this area in the southeast corner of the province, just over the border into northwestern Ontario, where those storms are severe. You can see this line of storms pushing the leading edge of it, moving into northwestern Ontario. Now the back end of this storm just clipping the southeastern part of Manitoba. This storm is producing hail up to the size of ping pong balls, some pretty sizable amounts of rain pouring down right now in a very short amount of time, as well as some very strong wind gusts. More on that coming up, and a look at all the air quality alerts that continue tonight in Manitoba and northwestern Ontario. There's a brief break coming very soon for the south, but it won't be lasting long. Let's take a look right now through the Bath Fitter Live Eye. Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. In Winnipeg right now, cloudy, 19 degrees, winds out of the west-northwest at 17 kilometers an hour. The pressure's dropping, and the humidity right now, Marilee, is 90%.
Thanks, Colleen. Manitoba is one of 3 provinces where the federal RCMP are trying out a new method of border control. The agency says it's establishing a drone corridor along the Canada-U.S. border, starting with a trial across Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. The unmanned aircraft will be searching for human and drug smuggling, as well as other illegal activity. The new corridor takes effect at 9 p.m. tonight. It extends 500 feet into the air and 1 nautical mile north of the border. RCMP say pilots can continue to fly in the area, but are asked to exercise caution and notify them ahead of time. Members of Brokenhead Ojibway Nation have voted against a proposed partnership with a silica mining company. CO Silica, an Alberta mining company, offered to give the First Nation a share of the profits from its proposal to drill a number of wells in southeastern Manitoba for silica sand. But according to the results of a referendum shared by the First Nation on social media, a majority of members voted no to the proposal. Chief and council say they will respect the outcome. Brokenhead Ojibway Nation is located about 70 kilometers northeast of Winnipeg. In an email statement, President Carla Devlin said CO Silica respects the decision but suggests misinformation may have played a role in the results, saying in part, quote, "The mining industry needs help from all stakeholders to ensure the public debate is based on facts, not fear, and to remind people mining is essential to daily life, from the phones in our hands to the vehicles we drive to the infrastructure our communities rely on." CO Silica remains committed to applying for our environmental license and to pursuing equity partnerships that ensure Indigenous communities share in the long-term benefits of the project. Bicycles are a fun way to get around the city, but a quick scroll on social media shows many are stolen. Winnipeg police estimate more than 3,000 bikes fall victim to theft every year. CTV's Harrison Shin talks with one visitor who lost his bike on a recent trip to our city.
There are so many posts on social media about bikes being stolen from Winnipeg cyclists, and even one from this out-of-towner.
I was there for about 10 days visiting my family. And then, yeah, just seeing a friend before I left on my last night in town.
Turner used to live in Winnipeg, but he now lives in Revelstoke, BC. He brought his bike with him to Winnipeg this summer.
I had it on a bike rack on the back of my vehicle, and I decided I would just U-lock it to the bike rack because I figured that would be sufficient, as I was not going to be away from the car long. And yeah, I was gone for about 20 minutes, and I came back and the thieves had taken the bike rack right off the car.
Turner was shocked.
I just was surprised someone would, walk off with a bike attached to a bike rack.
Right now, the city's website is telling owners to register their rides with 529 Garage. It's an app operating in Winnipeg and across North America.
I think Winnipeg's been on the system 2 years, and they've already returned almost 100 bicycles. Average bicycle return now is about $2,000. So 100 times 2,000. That's a lot of money and bicycles that got returned by the city.
Brunt says bikes should have unique serial numbers like VINs on vehicles.
A standardized system would be a game changer, because then you would walk into the police department and go, my truck, Madone, black, serial number such and such is missing.
Turner's advice: be wary.
These thieves won't stop at much to get it if they really want it. So, just don't take any chances.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Pinawa rescue crews aided by EMS and RCMP rescued 5 people from the Pinawa Channel Saturday. In a post on social media, Pinawa Fire Rescue said 5 people who couldn't swim and were without life jackets or paddles were stranded in the float channel and were overwhelmed by swift water. Crews responded to a 911 call and successfully reached the 5 and brought them to safety. It's a new week, and that means a new round of Folklorama pavilions are now open across our city for you to explore. And here to tell us all about it is CTV's John Hendricks. John, what country are you visiting this evening?
I'm at the Casa de Mino Pavilion, and Marilee, we are going to be asking a very important question. Can I learn to play this drum in just 2 minutes? Well, we are going to find out. All right, not looking good so far. So let's bring in someone who is actually an expert. Bring this gentleman up. First of all, I'll let you introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, my name is Marco Ferreira, and I accompany John Marks and the rest of the band members here at the Portuguese Cultural Center with Casa de Mino.
All right, let's, if you don't mind, I'll get you to play your drums a little bit, and then you can sort of show me where I went wrong. What exactly is involved in the drums here at this pavilion?
The key is to accompany the accordion player, who's the real star of the show, but he can't go too fast or too slow, or else you're gonna kind of mess up with the rhythm of the dancers. So it's a consistent beat, and just kind of not to try to overpower the accordion players.
All right, let's do a little bit of a routine here. See, like I'm thinking here that it's really about, is it like about fast? I'll try to accompany you, do it the same thing. All right, here we go. You know, I think it's almost exactly the same. I'm hearing in my ear, it sounds almost exactly the same. Let's do it one more time.
Absolutely. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. All right. A little quicker, right?
All right, here we go. Hey, see, it's getting better. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. It'll never get any better than that. So on that, I am going to send it back to you, Marilee. I think I need a little bit more practice, but I'm thinking this might be my instrument.
I think they should sign you up. You're part of the band now, John. I love it. Okay, John, we will check back in with you in a little bit. Still to come tonight, U.S. President Donald Trump vows to crack down on crime and homelessness in the nation's capital. Plus, why Air Canada flight attendants were demonstrating in front of several major airports today. Taking a look at the markets tonight, crude oil closed flat. The loonie fell to 72.54 cents U.S. Gold futures plunged more than $86. The TSX added 16 points. The Dow Jones lost 200 points, while the Nasdaq was down 64 points. U.S. President Donald Trump placed the U.S. Capitol under federal control today, deploying the National Guard and sidelining local police. He was also answering questions about Friday's upcoming meeting with Russia's president. CTV's Mike Le Couture has more from Ottawa.
Now, today's press conference was all about President Trump flexing his muscle, saying that only he can clean up the U.S. Capitol, and adding that no one else can broker a deal to end the war between Russia and Ukraine.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor.
The U.S. president describing it as Liberation Day in D.C. In a bid to crack down on crime, Trump is placing Washington under federal control while also deploying the National Guard.
But now they are allowed to do whatever the hell they want.
On the streets of D.C., protesters pushed back on the idea that the Capitol isn't safe, and Mayor Muriel Bowser said violent crime is at its lowest level in more than 3 decades.
If they can place us under military control without our consent, they will carry this playbook to every community that dares to push back in the United States of America.
While using his authority on the Capitol, President Trump was asked how he'll push Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday in Alaska, in what Trump is describing as a feel-out meeting.
Russia's occupied a big portion of Ukraine. They've occupied some very prime territory. We're going to try and get some of that territory back for Ukraine.
Trump also used the term land swap, indicating that Ukraine could also have to give up some territory. Ukraine's president is not invited to the talks, and in his nightly address, cast doubt that Friday's meeting will bring peace.
На що розраховує Путін і до чого реально готується?
Volodymyr Zelensky said Putin is not getting ready for peace, but instead is getting ready for a new military offensive. Zelensky also spoke to Prime Minister Mark Carney today, where the two leaders agreed international borders cannot be changed by force, and that any decision on Ukraine's future should be made by Ukrainians. Mike Le Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
A judge has denied the Trump administration's request to unseal transcripts from the grand jury regarding Jeffrey Epstein and his partner, Ghislaine Maxwell. The judge says releasing the material would offer no new information, and they would not implicate anyone other than Epstein and Maxwell. Maxwell is currently serving a 20-year prison sentence for sex trafficking. Epstein died in jail while awaiting trial. With just days to go before a possible strike, Air Canada flight attendants mobilized across Canada, holding protests outside the country's 4 largest airports. Sean Leathong has more from Pearson Airport in Toronto.
A massive show of solidarity. Hundreds of Air Canada flight attendants silent in front of the country's largest airport, demanding a better collective deal.
We are here standing in silence in support of our union as they negotiate with our employer.
Over 400 members of QP Local 498 filed off 9 buses and onto the sidewalk outside Pearson Airport's Terminal 1, joined across the country in Calgary, along with Vancouver and Montreal. While not impacting regular operations, the statement making an impression on passengers.
I think it's very profound.
It's quite impressive that many people have come together to do something as one group.
So I think showing this kind of thing, showing that labor has some power, that workers' rights really still live in Canada, I think it's really important.
The main area of concern in negotiations, wages and unpaid work.
So just have a little bit of space.
Shannon Elliott saying they're only paid while their plane is in motion.
We're required to be at the aircraft an hour before boarding to ensure that the aircraft is safe from our end. We are also not paid for any of our boarding time, any of our deplaning time. If there is a medical emergency on the ground and we're providing vital, life-saving first aid, we're not compensated for that.
Air Canada saying they respect their flight attendants' rights to express themselves in a statement that reads in part, Air Canada remains at the bargaining table and is focused on achieving a negotiated settlement with CUPE, one that recognizes the contributions of its flight attendants by making them the best compensated in the country. The deadline to reach a deal is midnight Friday, the union having voted over 99% in favor of a strike, and they'd have to give a 72-hour strike notice as soon as Wednesday.
It will be pretty monumental.
But the union will not say if all 10,000 workers will walk off the job.
It's been 10 years. What I would ask is for a little bit of patience and understanding that we are just like any other Canadian and want to be compensated.
So while flight attendants came to a brief standstill at Pearson today, if no deal is reached by midnight Friday, air traffic could come to a standstill on Saturday. Sean Leathong, CTV News.
Canada's defense minister is expected to meet military members at an army base here in Winnipeg this week. David McGuinty is set to visit Canadian Forces Base Winnipeg tomorrow afternoon. The visit comes days after it was announced military personnel are getting pay increases ranging from 8 to 20% retroactive to April. It's part of Ottawa's plan to significantly increase military spending at a time when the forces are seeing low recruitment and retention rates. An Israeli airstrike has killed 6 journalists. This as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu defends his country's plan to expand its military operations in Gaza while the international community condemns the move. Marcus Moore has the latest from London.
Funerals this morning for the journalists killed in an Israeli airstrike on a tent outside a Gaza City hospital. Mourners gathering around the men, Palestinian flags and press vests draping their bodies. The Sunday strike is believed to be the biggest single attack on journalists since October 7th. Among those killed, a prominent Al Jazeera correspondent, Anas al-Sharif. Israel admitting to the strike, claiming without evidence al-Sharif supported Hamas terrorists. Al Jazeera has vehemently denied the accusation. The Committee to Protect Journalists, a press freedom group, says 180 journalists have been killed covering this war. Meanwhile, the international community lined up in opposition to Israel's plan to expand its military operations in Gaza, holding an emergency meeting Sunday at the UN.
Expanding military operations will do nothing to bring an end to this conflict. It will not secure the release of the hostages. It will only deepen the suffering of Palestinian civilians in Gaza.
Inside Gaza, the humanitarian crisis worsens. The Hamas-run health ministry says 100 children have now starved to death since the war began. For days, aid has been deployed from the air. Airdrops that humanitarian groups have warned are unsafe and inefficient. And Australia has become the latest country to say it will recognize a Palestinian state.
A two-state solution is humanity's best hope to break the cycle of violence in the Middle East and to bring an end to the conflict, suffering and starvation in Gaza.
Prime Minister Netanyahu defended his plan for a military occupation of Gaza City, saying Israel has, quote, no choice but to finish the job, as the death toll in Gaza has surpassed 61,000 people. Marcus Moore, ABC News, London.
A A new poll suggests the popularity of Prime Minister Mark Carney and his government is cooling this summer. The latest Abacus data polling shows support for the Liberal government dipped 2 points to 50%. That's the lowest level since March. The Prime Minister maintains positive net approval at 48%, with 19% disapproving. The poll was conducted in the week after U.S. President Donald Trump imposed new 35% tariffs on Canada.
We've got a traditional rooster and traditional dancing at the Casa de Minho Pavilion. I will be introducing you to one of them after the break.
Temperatures for the most part below normal for this time of year, including through the long range. One hot day per se, and that's Thursday. Otherwise, the low 20s for much of the week. Sunshine Wednesday, 22. Then we get up to that high of 27 Thursday. It comes with at least a chance of showers with the risk of a thunderstorm, but a high on Friday on the other side of that of just 23 in the sun. Into the weekend we go. Both days, Saturday, Sunday, a mix of sun and cloud. 22 our forecast high Saturday, up to 24 degrees on Sunday.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
Well, we are now into week 2 of our city's largest ethnocultural celebration, and CTV's John Hendricks returns as our Folklorama tour guide tonight. So, John, I'm curious what you have gotten up to now at the Portuguese Pavilion. Some dancing, maybe.
Well, as always, I like to be in the thick of the action, and as you can see, there is a lot of action going on behind me. This is one of the many dances that you're going to see at the Casa de Minho Pavilion. I'm joined now by Henry, a gentleman who can give us a little bit more of an explanation as to what this is all about. Henry, tell me a little bit about the importance of dancing at this pavilion.
So dancing is the main area in how we can show our culture. Dancing was historically part of how to entertain the kings and really having a really good time. And it spills into the cities and it spills into the streets. We actually have this theme of feasts this year, festivals, and you just get out and dance in the middle of the street, and these are the kind of dances that we do.
Tell me a little bit about some of the movements and what they're sort of symbolically representing.
So a big part of this is having fun, and you really need them to just enjoy what they're doing. It's part of understanding how to work together as well, so you'll see them all in pairs. This is a kind of verticada, so it's one of those dances where there's a lot of turns, and they kind of stay with their partners and they keep going that. And we have a variety of different ones. A vita, which is a 3-step, and it's kind of like a waltz, but a really fast kind of waltz. And it's just all about enjoying being together, having really good dance. That swinging of the skirt is also a big part of it, really kind of showing the colors that we have.
This must take a lot of practice, I assume.
It does. You got to understand, these kids started when they were younger. We actually get them to understand what beat is, and the next group we understand what it is to do it together, and then they do more intricate steps after that. And so this is what they're doing now. It's sort of your intermediate group who are just kind of learning how to do these a little bit more intricate kind of steps. But it does take basically a lifetime.
It is a lifetime of work, and I have to say, it looks spectacular. Henry, thank you so much for joining us. And Marilee, as you know, I am now an accredited drummer. I've been taught and now know how to accompany them, so I think I'm going to go take my place with the band and do a little drumming to get these dancers on time.
I absolutely think you should do that. Get to work, John.
I'm going right now.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Hopefully John isn't going to run away with the band. Just play tonight.
You never know with that guy. You never know.
What are you tracking for us? What's the latest on these storms, Colleen?
Well, the severe storm has now moved off into northwestern Ontario, or it's in the process of doing it. But you can see there's all kinds of thunderstorms popping off all across southern Manitoba, including in Brandon right now. It's non-severe. Having said that, Brandon is one of many communities all across southern Manitoba tonight under a severe thunderstorm watch. So that means those thunderstorms in the Brandon area do have the capacity to become severe. So do be careful. You are in that city tonight. Dauphin had some rain rain that came through in the 4 o'clock hour, but that community still under a severe thunderstorm watch. But you can see Winnipeg is just outside the watch area, but it does come right up to the city's doorstep to the west, to the south, and to the east. Now, we've been watching this severe thunderstorm in the southeastern corner of the province. You can see the Sprague area now has been downgraded to a watch, but this line of storms continues its northward advance. The most eastward advance, pardon me. What I want to say is the most northern part of that storm, there it is, just in the Monaco area, stretching back to the southeastern corner of the province, but again, under a watch at this point back here on the provincial side of the border. Now, this has just changed in just the last moment or two. Air quality alerts until about 2 minutes ago, Winnipeg and the surrounding communities were under a special air quality statement. We actually have seen the smoke improve from west to east all throughout the day. It's only a brief reprieve, though. That smoke is coming back later on tonight, but northwestern Ontario and even parts of southeastern Manitoba still remaining under that special air quality statement. The more elevated air quality warning continues tonight for north central and northeastern regions. That's not a surprise there, but those areas all across the north will see scattered showers continue tonight, but there is the potential for non-severe thunderstorms to develop. That heavy rain continues into northwestern Ontario. Now, places like Kenora, Dryden, and Fort Frances all could see anywhere from 10 to 20 millimeters of rain come through just tonight, and you'll see that rain continue at least into tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, we'll get a brief reprieve from the smoke overnight, but northwest winds that are strengthening will just send that smoke right back down into southern Manitoba. Meanwhile, we've got some scattered showers that continue throughout the bulk of the day tomorrow, more so in the north and to the east in northwestern Ontario. But again, as you saw earlier, temperatures a little on the cool side for this time of year for the most part. That will continue tomorrow and into tomorrow night, where we start to see some clearing there. Moving along pretty quickly as we get into the night ahead. 15 is our low, showers likely. We could see a thunderstorm. Mix of sun and cloud for the commute, smoky. Mid-morning, there's a slight chance of some showers. And then in the afternoon, were it not for the smoke, it would be more of a mix of sun and cloud. But you see those strong northwest winds developing, pulling more smoke into the area. It will be windy and a little rainy tonight for folks in Churchill, down to 8 degrees. Showers or thunderstorms possible through Gillam, Island Lake over to Thompson. Thompson down to 10 tonight, smoky there tomorrow, and 14 degrees across the northwest. Showers potentially with thunderstorms, and then tomorrow widespread smoke, highs in the mid-teens. In the southwest tonight, those thunderstorms moving through places like Brandon. Once those storms make their way out of the region, you'll see some clearing later this evening, down to 10 there. Smoke around the region tomorrow, highs in just the 21, 22 degree range. Winnipeg in the southeast, good chance of more showers, potentially thunderstorms heading our way. Overnight lows between 13 and 15. Smoky for most areas tomorrow, with highs again in the low 20s. And in northwestern Ontario, 10, 20 millimeters of rain headed your way in thunderstorms, and then tomorrow more rain, at least in the morning, possibly thunderstorms too, with highs around 19 or 21 degrees. A lot of folks sent in photos throughout the weekend of rainbows. Thank you so much. There were so many, and this is one of them. This is from Jessica, of a double rainbow actually south of Brookdale, Manitoba. That's about northeast of Brandon. And this photo is from Tammy. There were so many pelicans near the locks at Lockport yesterday, she couldn't get them all in one photo. Great shot there too. Send us your photos to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. We are approaching the middle of August, but back to school shopping is already underway. And it's coming with some sticker shock this year as parents get a lesson on navigating tariffs. Abigail Beeman explains.
The trade war has this mom shopping around.
I'm looking more for secondhand, more of it, so I'm buying on the marketplace.
Back to school shopping in full swing at Ottawa's thrifted mini consignment store, with parents looking to escape tariff headaches and costs.
It's definitely been a lot busier than last year. We're looking at a bigger increase in sales and a lot more new people, fresh faces that are coming in.
89% of Canadian parents think back-to-school costs have climbed, according to a new study from Rakuten, with nearly 3 in 4 admitting to going over budget, most blaming inflation.
Things like electronics, footwear, apparel, and those items are going to see fairly high increases in price.
Retail experts say tariffs are having an impact, but for a few reasons it's hard to say exactly how big. Some stores loaded up on inventory ahead of tariffs, and those prices should stay stable. At the same time, Bruce Winder says costs can climb from big brands harmonizing prices in the U.S. and Canada, or even jacking up prices just because they know customers are mentally prepared for it, as happened in COVID.
because supply chains are mucked up here, we might see shortages of items too. So if you really need a certain item, you may have to sort of strike while the iron's hot if it's on the shelf. But all things equal, you know, try to look for that sale.
Another piece of consumer advice: resist the urge to buy supplies until after your children start school.
People are unintentionally or unknowingly turning a want into a need and using the tariffs to justify that without really actually knowing for sure if it's needed.
If you can wait, there will still be sales after Labor Day as stores need to clear out inventory, while the full impact of the trade war may not be clear until next year's back-to-school shopping season. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Still ahead, one more reason to enjoy that cup of joe in the morning. What researchers found, and more importantly, didn't find inside one of the world's most popular drinks. Next to Medical Watch. Despite a trade war and political tensions, American-Canadian friendship prevailed this weekend. Saturday, a symbolic handshake between Canadians and Americans took place at the International Peace Garden at the Manitoba-North Dakota border. Tim Chapman, CEO of the International Peace Gardens, helped organize the event and joins us now to talk more about it. Tim, good to speak with you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you for having me, Marilee.
First, I guess tell us a bit of what the turnout was like.
Yeah, I was kind of just ballparking and looking at the size of the line of the handshake, and it looked like about 300 people, which we were pretty pleased with for a first go, and especially because it was a rainy day. It was really an incredible show of cooperation and friendship that we saw.
You know, that's not even taking into account, you know, all the talk of the 51st state and tariffs. I mean, were you a little concerned that no one would show up?
No, because earlier in the year when the tariff and trade discussions started to ramp up, we knew we had a good opportunity as a nonprofit to stay non-political, but also bring people together along this super unique attraction that has an international border where we could pull off that cross-border type show of partnership.
You know, we're looking at some of the images that were taken of the event on Saturday, and they're pretty remarkable. Can you talk to us a bit about what the mood was like and, you know, how significant this public display was for people, you know, on both sides of the border?
Yeah, the mood was incredible. We didn't really know what to expect, having not done this before. And just to see the amount of people of different generations shaking hands with each other, braving the rain. The rain actually stopped right as the handshakes started and the sun came out, which was just great timing to see everyone's faces kind of light up, the hoods and umbrellas come down. And yeah, we couldn't have asked for a better handshake across the border.
What do you hope people take away from this event?
Really just that interpersonal, in-person communication is so important in an age where everyone's focused increasingly on their phones and social media, which we all know does not always lead to the best discourse, whereas getting folks together in a unique place that Canadians and Americans share really went a long way, we hope, to making the event even bigger next year. But hopefully everyone who joined us on Saturday left feeling a little bit better about how important and valuable the Canadian-American friendship is.
Well, I know looking at those photos put a smile on my face. Tim, a virtual handshake to you. Thanks so much for your time tonight. It was great speaking with you.
Yes, thank you.
Some good news for coffee lovers. A new study has found that Cup of Joe is pretty safe when it comes to contaminants and toxins. The nonprofit Clean Label Project gathered samples from 45 popular coffee brands and had a certified lab test them for pesticides and heavy metals. The researchers say, well, some contaminants were present, such as trace amounts of the herbicide glyphosate. Most were well below the EU safety limits for a 6-ounce serving. That's good news, since studies have found coffee lowers the risk of heart disease, multiple sclerosis, liver disease, prostate cancer, dementia, and more. A watchdog group is warning that ChatGPT can provide harmful advice to teens. The Associated Press reviewed interactions where the chatbot gave detailed plans for drug use, eating disorders, even suicide notes. The Center for Countering Digital Hate found testing ChatGPT with harmful prompts led the AI to respond in dangerous ways more than half the time. Researchers say the study highlights the risk as more people, particularly teens, turn to AI for companionship and advice. OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT, says after viewing the findings, its work is ongoing in refining how models identify and respond appropriately in sensitive situations.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
A hit Canadian singer-songwriter is en route to our city, but Dallas Smith is doing something a little different this time. We will explain next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Brett Kissel.
If you have a sweet tooth, one of this week's Folklorama pavilions really has you covered. Aside from the fiddle music and traditional meals, the French-Canadian Pavilion is showing off something else the culture is well known for: maple syrup. Organizers say interpreters will help you learn about how French Canadians and maple syrup have influenced the country, and you can even try to pick up a little French while you're at it.
Our pavilion represents all French Canadian that live in Canada, and one of the things you can see, for example, to learn about this French Canadian culture and all the people here in Canada, is that you can see all our flags of the different provinces that represent the Francophones that live in both different provinces and territories.
The French Canadian Pavilion runs this week at the Franco-Manitoban Cultural Centre on Provencher Boulevard. Meanwhile, the biggest street party of the summer is back. Crews are getting things ready outside the Burton Cummings Theatre. The Burt Block Party is celebrating its 5th year with an impressive lineup of Canadian music legends. The 4-night event runs August 14th to the 17th in front of the theatre downtown. The lineup includes the likes of Dean Brody, Marianas Trench, the Glorious Sons, and Kim Mitchell.
So you watch the sun go down. It's great music in a Manitoba summer night, surrounded by your friends and maybe 4,000 strangers, and you have a beverage in your hand. So it's a combination of Manitoba summer nights, great music, cool environment, and just a lot of fun.
The event draws about 4,000 people per night. Full festival passes are sold out, but individual tickets are still available at burtoncummingstheatre.ca. An award-winning Canadian country star is doing something a little different for his next tour. This is what fans are used to from Dallas Smith, but this tour, Smith and his band are going unplugged for a series of intimate shows across Canada. Fans can still expect to hear his hits with a lot of surprises, where he makes a stop at Club Region Events Centre on November 7th. Tickets start at $49 plus fees. They go on sale Wednesday through Ticketmaster. Your primetime lineup kicks off at 7 with American Ninja Warrior, followed by Match Game, and E-Talk wraps up the night at 10:30, all right here on CTV.
It energizes you to keep doing what we're doing.
Making the best of a bad situation, how a group in Winkler turned a fire into an opportunity to support people overseas. Stay with us.
Women's clothing provided by R.W. & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
A little cool today by normal standards. Normal high is 25. We only reached 23, but look at this. Just 7 years ago, the record for this day, 37.1 degrees, set on this day in 2018. 15 tonight, still likely to see some showers, maybe a thunderstorm later on tonight. Smoky for the most part Tuesday, otherwise a mix of sun and cloud. 21. Sunnier Wednesday up to 22. Then we shoot up to 27 on Thursday. The one hot day of the week, chance of showers. Sunny on Friday, 23 degrees, 22 Saturday, 24 Sunday merrily, both days on the weekend, a nice mix of sun and cloud.
Thanks, Colleen. The furnishings from a fire-damaged hotel are helping a Winkler nonprofit group provide aid to Ukraine and Moldova.
Bedding and linens, anything like that, and the mattresses we're shipping overseas.
Faith Mission was approached by the insurance adjuster for Quality Inn following a fire there in April. The nonprofit primarily provides clothing, food products, and other items to Ukraine, Moldova, and other countries. It spent a few weeks seeing what could be salvaged from the hotel and attached restaurant.
If there was things that we could send, we would send those, and the rest they would allow us to sell as a fundraiser.
And that's just what they did last Monday. The auction of items, including air conditioners, kitchen and restaurant items, bed frames, and more, helped raise around $70,000 for Faith Mission. It plans to rework 8 charred wood beams into tables, which could even double that amount. Since the early 90s, Faith Mission has sent 320 shipping containers of goods to Eastern European countries. Wow.
Oh, well
quite the
done.
effort. Nice
Absolutely.
to see those items get repurposed and
the community coming together.
go to help a good cause. All right, thunderstorms
possible for
tonight?
Winnipeg. Still a severe thunderstorm watch for most of the south, at least for the next few hours.
All right, smoky tomorrow, so keep that in mind for your plans. That does it for us this evening. Have a great evening. We'll see you back here tomorrow.